So today we're trying to fix our whole issue with our double score printing on the last egg we collect, and we figured out why that was happening, and we thought we figured out a solution, but I did a little more thinking. I realized it's not exactly what I thought, or the fix isn't exactly what I thought. So look, double score there. Now double score is happening because we're grabbing the printScore object of the fourth index. Now we should be grabbing the third index of it, but the way it's currently set up is we've got egg count starting at 1. We've got to start at 1 because if we don't index a 1 into our printScore tables, it'll make an error for us. Well, actually, I don't think that's exactly true. If we try to debug the info for it, it will crash. But my reasoning was last episode that we would instantiate the printScore objects. Where is it? Right here. So I was going to say that we only need 3 objects in here. But then I was saying how we were going about it kind of wrong because we were putting upon a player to egg collision or player to jockey collision that we would give ourselves a printScore object. Gosh, where is it? We would modify. Oh gosh, hold on. This is, we want to egg, not to vulture. Here we go. So we modify our scores table at egg count to be the egg's last X and the egg's last Y. So the score prints where the egg just was collected. Set its timer so it doesn't disappear until 1.5 seconds elapsed. If that field is double score, give us double score, otherwise normal score. Here, then egg count gets current egg count plus 1. So I was thinking, hey, all we have to do is put the I in here because we're going through I's, but that isn't the case because the scores in our scores table don't perfectly map to our indices of our vultures and eggs and jockeys. So our vultures, eggs, and jockeys all have the same indexes, but since there's a field in our printScore objects that is called score amount, and that score amount is different for each one. First egg is 500 or whatever, then 750, then 1,000. That's what makes it not okay for us to put the I in there. So we were onto something with the egg count, right? Like we need to determine if we're on egg count 1, which we start off as egg count 1, then we get the score of what we called egg count 1. Yeah, we're getting the score of the first object in that table, which starts out to be right, and then we increment to egg count 2 for the next one. So I guess the thing is we would only need 3 objects in our scores table, and that means we need to add some logic to make sure that egg count doesn't surpass 4, because if we're on egg count 3, we want to do this stuff. Okay. So we need to add that integer that holds the amount of lives that are in the current wave, so that we can, instead of just hard coding the 3 up here, we need to put in how many vultures or how many objects are supposed to be given for any given wave, and then that needs to update throughout the play state as we advance in waves. So I'm thinking we go back to only 3 objects, because that's correct, only 3 objects in our scores table. But we need to check. So we start off egg count as 1, and then I think we need to say something along the lines of, if egg count is greater than this number, then hold on, let me think it through, because we'll start off as 1, then when we collide, it'll get incremented to 2, then we'll be at 2, then if we collide, it'll be at 2, it'll do the second one, and then it'll increase to 3. Then if it's at 3, we don't want it to increase. We just want it to do the proper 3rd index of our score table. So I think we can say something like only increment. For right now, I'm going to say if I is greater than, oops, see what just happened there. If I is what? Oh, I'm hitting control, not, oh god. If I is greater than or equal to 3, no. If I is smaller than 3, meaning it's on the first loop or the second loop. And remember, we need to change this 3 to be how many objects are in our global tables. But if I is smaller than 3, that's when we increment the egg count. And we only increment the egg count if it's smaller than 3. So it starts off as 1 here. If we collide, yeah, so look, if we collide, while an egg's not collected and the egg's not invulnerable, then I is smaller than 3, increment our egg count. So if by the time we've collected 1 egg, which means egg count is 2, collected 2 eggs, which means egg count is 3, this isn't quite right. We would say if egg count is smaller than 4, meaning 3 or below, increment our egg count. If our egg count is 4, which it would become 4 on the 3rd, goddamn, so egg count is 1, we collect the first egg, it's 2, collect the second egg, it's 3, collect the 3rd egg, it would become 4. What am I missing here? It would become 4. So yeah, the egg count, this would be smaller than 3, because we'd want to increment egg count on the first 2 eggs, but not the last egg. So we start off as 1, we collide, that gives us egg count as 2 on the first egg. We collect the second egg, that gives us egg count of 3 on the second egg. And then if we further hit another collision, our egg count would be 3, and egg count would not be smaller than 3, it would be equal to 3. So we wouldn't increment the egg count, and that will just leave us with the last index of egg count 3, which should be our third object in our scores table. Because it's one indexed, so before we collect the first egg, it's scores table 1. Second egg is scores table 2. Third egg is scores table 3, and we don't increment past a 3. I think. So we can say, got to do it for both collision options, our fast and our slow collision. And we only increment egg count if egg count is smaller than 3, and we only give ourselves 3 objects in our printScore table. So if that works correctly, we should be able to, let me do the old trick where I can give ourselves the vulture, all the vultures all at the bottom, so I can just bang them out. Okay. So I'm going to run through and collect these all, and we're looking for 2 things. We're looking for the scores to come on and more than one score to be on at once, and they all disappear after 1.5 seconds. And we're looking for the third jockey we collect to not have a double score yellow printed. We were looking for all the scores to be white. So let's see. Well, we're still fucking up. So we're still messing up at the same place. We have 3 score objects. It starts at 1, goes to 2, then to 3. I don't know why that wouldn't have worked, but maybe if we print up our egg count so we can troubleshoot it, we can say, egg count is just a global variable, and we say print to a string our egg count at the top should be 1, and then by the time we collect 1 egg it should be 2, okay, egg count is 2, egg count is 3. So now this one would, since egg count isn't smaller than 3, it's equal to 3, it shouldn't increment to 4. It shouldn't be doing that. So what's going on there? Where do we increment? Oh, I think we increment egg count upon a jockey collision as well, which would explain it. Do we do it on a, yeah, not just an egg collision, but on a jockey collision, we gotta not increment it. Yes. 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 We don't want to increment it on a jockey collision either. And I think that'll fix it. Well, we want to increment it on a jockey collision if it's not the last egg. So where was that line we just found it at? Here. We're going to say same thing where we say if egg count is smaller than 3, that's when we increment. Okay, let's try that. So it should not increment to 4. It should just add the last printScore object, and it should Not print a yellow. Yes. See how two disappeared right away? What's up with that? Maybe it was a fluke. Oh, fucking god damn it. Okay, we can't detect collision if the vultures are spawning. Because we get that. So we'll have to fix that. But why did score 2 disappear so fast? Damn it, it's close. 1 and 3 work fine, but 2 disappears. Why would that be the case? That doesn't make any sense to me. Signing the timer. 1.5. I guess I'm curious if I only collect the second egg. Okay, whatever. If I only collect the second egg, is that a fast one too? Normal speed? Normal speed? Normal speed. So what's going on? Why when I kill them in fast succession, their timer doesn't get set just right? That's so weird. So weird of a problem. It worked fine before they were hatched, so it might be only a jockey thing. So if we wait till they're all hatched from eggs, we see if it messes up. Yeah, what the? Oh, 7. See, it shouldn't have been 750. What's the difference there? Oh. First egg should be 500, then 750, then 1,000, right? Oh, God. Okay, 255, okay. 250, 500, 750. But when they're jockeys, they're worth more, and that shouldn't be the case. I don't think that should be changing how fast they render. But it should be the same score. Yeah. Should be the same score. Okay, well, let's just take a look at our scores table. Because if we look at our print score objects, what we're printing is the score amount. So if we look at the score amount field in our print score objects, which are in our scores table, that we initialize here, we start giving it a lowest egg score in table 1. Then we give it a 500, then we give it a 750. So depending on which ones you get first, this is why the egg count is necessary, because we could kill an ostrich 3, but it would be index 1 of our scores table because it's the lowest egg score, because it's the first one collected. So why would our score amount of our print score objects be different when we're jockeys? Score amount. We only really change it if there's a double score, true, which we set to false upon any ground collision on our egg. But is there any other one? I don't think it's the double that's hurting us here. But we're not modifying the score amount anyway. Let me print up all of our score amounts onto the screen, and we'll just take a look at that and see if it's functioning as intended. So we're going to print up to a string from our scores table at index. We're going to do all of them. So 1, and then we're going to need, say, score table at index 1. Then we want score table 2, score. It'd be scores table at index 2 in the field of score amount. So now, right off the bat, it should be 250, 500, 750. 250, 500, 750. Now, if we kill, oopsies. Watch when it hatches, does it change? It doesn't. Hold on, let me just do it right. And instead of ST1 on all three, imagine 1, 2, 3. See, yeah, they don't change as expected, yet this should be 250 when I grab it, yet it's 500. The field is right, but why when collecting with jockey? Let me see if the math is right, because that's one thing. Or you're like the math for it increasing our score is one thing. So we're at 1500. We got 500. See, okay, so it's just rendering the wrong. It's printing the wrong score, but it is incrementing our score by the correct score. Yeah. Well, yeah, I think. So how is it printing the incorrect score upon a jockey collision? Let's see our... I guess it'd be player to jockey. So yeah, we're adding the right score, but how? We're not setting, oh yeah, we are. I think we might need to we don't increment our egg count at the very last step yet. Here we're not doing it at the very last step. Would that change? Would that change the score amount though? And if you look, we've got count is 3. Okay. Yeah, so okay. So when we were colliding with a jockey, we were incrementing our egg count before we were instantiating our scores table print object to its new field. So that should be why we were getting the weird incorrect print, but the correct score, because our table was working right. We just had logic that was implemented incorrect. So now we should see 250, 500, 750, on, off, off. But I don't think that's going to fix the middle one. Let's see. It fixes it. Okay, and we're gonna check collecting eggs too. Make sure it's 250, 500, 750. Yep, nice. Yeah, buddy. So watch this. If we give ourselves... Oh, well, our vulture button's jacked. I forgot about that. I think that has to do with them being in the graveyard. So there's two things I want to fix still, at least. And it's pressing V to reinstantiate our vultures, which our vultures don't start animating until they are self-spawning. Do they start spawning? They start spawning, but they start in the graveyard. So I think we need to take them out of the graveyard on the button press, and then maybe that'll give them back to us. We're gonna say vulture 1 dot graveyard gets false, so we can actually update, because that's what we weren't doing when we pressed V. So that should be why they were all jacked up. And then we also want vulture 2 graveyard false and vulture 3 graveyard false. Now we want to test if pressing V overwrites them. Nice, nice. That's weird. It's weird, but yes, they all spawn at the same time, so it's a little weird. We need to give them more space. So if this is like this one and this is plus 30, they might have a little more space, and then they might not mess up when we spawn them. No, they still, what the fuck? What's going on there? There's something else going with the logic when they spawn. Shoot. Let me turn back on the original vultures. And then see if that messed anything up. So it messed up. As soon as it was done spawning, it got the Y value of the platform 3 spawn, and then continued to spawn. I don't exactly know what that's about. That time it worked. What the heck? That time it worked, and there's a jockey on screen, so maybe... What? Okay, that's just weird. I don't know what to do to fix that. Something weird's happening with... By the time we're at the top of our platform spawn Y, which are all the same, we're saying this moves us up if we're spawning Y. Lordy. I don't know what's going on with that. What is busted? If there's a jockey on screen, it works fine. Or an egg on screen, which is kind of confusing. The other thing I wanted to fix was stopping collision. Stopping collision on vulture spawning with our if we go to player 2 enemy collisions, look at if we're not spawning. We are already doing that. If spawning is false. So why is it that when we collide with them when they're spawning, they make an egg all fucked up? It's not when it's spawning, it's just like the frame it is spawned. Why does that happen? Why do eggs go up there? See, look, yeah, they don't collide here, but if you kill them, something's wrong with our last X of our vulture, and we might be, let's see what our vulture last X is getting. That too. If we're not exploded. Now, when do we become exploded? Only upon the collision, right? So for some reason, it's looking like... See, but it's not the graveyard. It's like the top right for some reason. That's what I don't get about it. Let's print up, let's take out all but one of our vultures here. Let's give us just vulture 1. And then we will set V to spawn only vulture 1. So we can test vulture 1 coming out of the bottom here. Us killing it, perfect. And then we need to print up vulture 1's last X and see if that's the culprit. So we'll print its current X and its last X. So we'll print vultures 1 X. We're printing up vulture 1's X, and then we're going to print its last X as well. I don't know why I did that, but whatever. Because I think the last X is where it's messing up, because the egg is instantiated upon the last X. So I think it's just not populating correctly, because ideally our last X doesn't change, and our last X should be similar to what we do. You know, it should be the last X of our vulture on the ground here. And we need 2 lines. Thank you very much. And we'll do vulture last X 0. See? yet when we kill a vulture here, last X is 79. So last X is getting set incorrectly, like I assumed. So how do we fix that? Where are we doing? We're only updating our vulture's last X in our vulture class, I believe. And see, we're instantiating our eggs. We're instantiating our jockeys based on our eggs last X, and we're instantiating our eggs based on our vulture's last X. But we're not changing them. So last X is already wrong by that point. So we need one more. Why isn't last X getting? I think we need to just. I think we need to update our last X whether or not we're exploded or not, because we just need the correct X value in there. But we need it. That's why we have it there, if not exploded. Is there a different... At one point we had exploded in death. And exploded... We need it under a boolean like that so that when we move to the graveyard, we don't keep updating our last X. But what we can do is say... Spawning and not exploded. This is all wrong, man. What the... Oh, okay. No, that... Yeah, so if not exploded, meaning we haven't exploded yet. But what I really want to do is say, if we are not in graveyard, give us the last DX. So I'm going to say, if not self-graveyard, then that's when we update our last X. And then when we die, we move ourselves to the graveyard, and then it'll stop updating that, and that might fix our problem. Okay. Okay. Nice. Looks like it might have worked. Okay. That might have worked. I mean, it's seemingly worked. So let's figure out why. That's been a bug for a while. I'm glad we fixed that. But we want to see... Let's pop on our other vultures, and then we'll try the V press to spawn the new ones and see what's messing up. We need to turn on our vultures 2 and our vultures 3. Then same thing here. You know what? No, that should work. That should work. What the fuck? Sometimes it works. See, like there, it's working fine and as expected. Yet when I do it for the first time, it gets janky. That's a little confusing. Why would the first press of it be wrong and then the subsequent press is not? And I think it's not just the first, it's that how fast we press it. So if we, yeah, it's still, see how it's messed up? Well, we messed it up a couple times. Yeah, so it's not the first time we press it, it's just that if we press it when they're, maybe we say, see, and I don't like that it's that, like, I know how I could fix it, but it's not like, it's like a band-aid on the problem. It doesn't address the real problem, it would just like stop the problem from happening, I'm assuming. So we'll just say like if our vulture at our one dot graveyard we would want to do, you know what, let's just wait till all of them have to be spawned before we can spawn the new ones here. I'm just calling it that. So we're going to say that graveyard has to be false on the last vulture in order for V to do any of this. So if we spam V while they're coming up, it won't do, okay, never mind. 55. Need a good old and in there. Oh, come on. 55. We don't need if. Yep. I spammed F there, or V there, and it didn't spawn them, and then I spawn them now, and they're not busted anymore. Cool. I don't think I'd buy that egg. So it's a little tricky because when I spawn those vultures, it's messing with those objects. So it's going to perform not like the original game because we can't just make a new vulture out of nowhere in the original game. But I'm happy with that as a so like as a debugging thing, because we can play normally and watch the random ones, but then if we want to test and collide with 3 eggs at once, we can, oh. So yeah, you can't kill the third one if I do it like that. I guess spawning on the third one would have to be false. So if we play normal, we get the normal distribution, yet if we press V, we get the 3 there that we can test all the eggs if we want. Nice. Okay. Cool. I think that's a good little stopping point. We did a couple things, a couple good things. We take a look at our notes here. We could see we didn't do this. We solved this, or quote unquote solved it, because it was a slightly different problem. We did do this in the past couple episodes. Yeah, we've got to do that still. We've been doing this as we've been updating it. We didn't do this. Yeah, we didn't do... Yeah, we do this. We do all these. And then... Yeah, we still should do this. We did fix this. We had to refactor our stuff out of our class objects in order for that to be fixed. There might have been another way to do it, but I couldn't figure out what. So we added We changed our last X and Y in our vultures to only be updated if we're not in the graveyard, as opposed to not self-exploded, which I don't exactly know why that fixed it. All I know is it was inheriting the wrong last X if you killed it like the very first frame. And actually, that's exactly it. That's the first frame exploded. I think when I use the first frame exploded, it doesn't set exploded to true. It just uses that boolean to spawn an egg, at which point on that next frame it moves it to the graveyard. So I think that's why we were getting the wrong. We were getting eggs spawning in the top right for whatever reason. We fixed our loop here of our printScore scores table instantiation, so we've only got 3 objects in there, and we fixed our pressing V to give us 3 at the bottom. We only increment egg count if it's smaller than the total egg count, because we index at 1, meaning we were given an egg count of 4, which we only had 3 objects in our scores table, giving us that crash every time we got the last egg. So we don't increment the egg count if we're on the last egg, but we got to change this so it's not 3, but it's the wave 1 objects integer that we're going to have to make. And then we can turn off some of this old debugging and then call it a successful day. Actually, yeah, we do. We have it commented out, so that's okay. So I'm going to go ahead and call it get add with fixed timing on printScore objects. Well, we did more than that. We added correct amount of printScore objects, which fixed the timing. Is that all we did? Egg count was the biggest thing, and then we fixed our spawning horde for debugging, which is nice. And then we'll get push to our origin main, and then we're coming up. Yeah, guys, we're coming up on the tier system update. Oh, yeah. So we're going to have a new class of a jockeyless vulture. We have to give it AI to find the jockey. We've got to add collision for it, and then we've got to add either a new class. It's probably just going to be, we're just going to reinstantiate a new vulture at a higher tier. So Bounder's tier 1, Hunter tier 2, Shadowlord tier 3, and we'll put all the AI according to those tiers, and then we'll add the atlases for those other colors as well, and we render based on the tier as well, so we have different colors. And then we're going to have to ultimately figure out the point difference for Hunters versus Shadowlords versus Bounders. And then finally, once we've got our tier system update for our vultures, we can start working on the meat of the game, which is all the different actual waves. That's awesome. It's moving along. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you tomorrow.